Hi, everybody. My name is Jay Gorodia, and I'm a senior analyst for Amulari Private Capital, the manager of the Unlisted Securities Exchange. I am joined today by Tony Khan. He is the chairman of Connexionz New Zealand. Thank you for joining us today, Tony. I'll kick off by asking you basically to introduce yourself, tell us about what the company does and your role at the company.
Hi. Yep, my name's Tony Khan, and I'm the executive chair for Connexionz. We use real-time and historical GPS data from public transport fleets to allow transit agencies and public transport operators to effectively manage and plan their fixed route services. It means our customers can have a virtual cockpit in front of them that allows them to drive their operations in real time so that they can manage situations as they arise through the day. For example, driver safety is a real issue that's coming up in public transport and growing. Sadly, we provide an electronic duress button that sits hidden away for a driver to be able to push, say, when he's facing a hijacking, and when that happens, then our software will display the emergency arising on the dispatcher's headquarters, and then they can begin to use that technology to start managing the situation. So, for example, many of our customers asked us to provide real-time CCTV camera footage, which means that as soon as the alarm is hit, then the dispatcher can then watch, activate the camera system and allow them to see what's actually happening and unfolding in real time. They can also hook into the audio system, and again, we provide audio systems to go along with what we do, and they can listen and hear what's going on as well. And from there, they can begin to use voice over IP communications or mobile radio or any other communication system to start harnessing first responders to react to the situation as it arises. Because the duress button may not be activated because of a hijacking. It could be a medical event. It could be a car accident. It could be any number of things. And so they can react in that way. Another example, in North America, wildfires have been a real issue, and quite often public transport's used for evacuation services in those situations. And a real life situation where a dispatcher was advised by the firefighters that there was only one way in to reach this particular retirement village, and so she was able to identify through our software an available vehicle and assign a driver and get that driver to go and evacuate that retirement village. Unfortunately, when he got there, as he was approaching, the fire had covered the entire roadway. The trees had fallen over, or something was fallen over close enough to the road that all he could see was a wall of flame. But he knew he was the only way in. So and the dispatcher was discussing the situation with him over the voice communications, which we supply, and then he made the decision off his own bat. He realized he was the only option for those retirement villages. So he put pedal to the metal and drove through the wall of flame. The dispatcher could see that he was still in motion on the map in front of her. So she knew something was happening. She would be worried if it stopped. And then 3 or 4 seconds later, he was through the wall of flame and got through to the retirement village. They were able to evacuate everybody, then turned around, and then he drove through the wall of flame again with smoking tires. The next day, the firefighters let him know that they got to the retirement village, and all that was there was just ashes. So if he hadn't done what he had done, there would have been a very sad story. So when you think about all the technologies that allow those kinds of things to happen, the GPS tracking, the voice communications, the duress buttons, the camera systems, the audio systems. They're all systems that our customers ask us to supply. We effectively take over quite a lot of the electronic systems on a ferry or on a bus. We could do trains, but we haven't gone into that segment yet.
Right.
So at the same time, our customers also ask us to help them to build ridership and make an improved experience for passengers journeying through a public transport system. So we provide expected time of arrival information and display them all over a city, whether it's being electronic signs and at bus stops, at shopping mall foyers, on public websites, on mobile phones, right across the whole cities. And then we also provide the information in such a way that they can start journey planning. So planning their journey across, say, from one side of the city to the other. And we integrate that information with a whole bunch of other providers so that it doesn't matter whether they're just using the services from our customer. We can integrate the information from other companies and make it so that they can plan transfers from one bus company to another or to another ferry company and work out where they can go. We also partner with people to allow them to be able to pay their fares on their mobile phone, so that they can do the whole lot in one stop and do the whole thing cashless if they really, really want to.
Yeah.
You can also, when you think about it, this GPS information gets into everything. So we also integrate with traffic signals. And so we can provide green, so using the GPS information, we can alert the traffic signal system to that we've got an oncoming ferry or bus, well, in this case, a bus, obviously. And we can control the traffic signal system so that it provides a green lane for the bus ahead of it. And then we can delay traffic that wants to go onto that lane with extended red lights. And so actually the fastest way to get across town really on a busy afternoon is actually to follow a bus. So that's just a taste of what we do. It's quite a lot. That GPS gets into everything and it covers a lot of things. Anyway, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. I guess it more than answers my questions on what the company does. What is your role in this? I know you've been with the company for over 2 decades now. You were previously an independent director. You have an engineering background. So what is your role in all of this?
Yeah, so I chair the board and I also run the company as the chief executive. So we've unified the 2 roles. It means that it's an opportunity to set the direction of the company, to look at the processes in which the company are using, and to implement improvements that we can find so that the whole company goes bigger, better, faster. That's my role.
Yep, excellent. So I guess your previous explanation of all the processes that it currently undertakes, I guess it would lead into the question of, over the years, obviously there's been a few roadblocks that led into this. So what was the journey like over the years? Obviously, you've been there for more than 2 decades. What was the growth of the company over the years? What was the journey? What were the key roadblocks, and how did you get past them?
I suppose being a company that's setting out to operate internationally, it also means that a lot of the events that happen and affect us as a community globally affect us more than what you might think. For example, we were looking to do a capital raise on the stock exchange on the very week that 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
So you can see that those plans got put aside, and we decided that we would go for a more modest undertaking, and then look to grow organically, and that's probably set some of the set the trajectory of the company for the for quite a number of years. I think another challenge for the company has been operating internationally. Most of our customers are overseas, And and working overseas with your development centre and corporate centre here in New Zealand has created some challenges. It's also meant that, but it's had its effect on our culture too, because we have a high trust, high work ethic culture. You can't, when you're scattered across the globe, you can't be looking over anybody's shoulder to make sure that what they're doing is doing. So our recruitment looks for those kind of qualities in our staff, and we've been pleasantly rewarded by the results that we're getting. Our customers rave about how good our staff are. So that's strength that's come from that.
Yeah.
COVID-19's been another effect on us too. For a period of almost 2.5 years there, we weren't, apart from our American staff, we weren't able to see our customers face to face for 2.5 years. We couldn't even see our own US staff face to face in person for 2.5 years. So last year, I sent our senior leadership team and myself overseas for quite a few weeks. We called it our kiss and make up tour to go and see our customers, because I think that face-to-face contact has qualities that you can't do on screen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that information was invaluable, and we'll touch on that later when we talk about customer feedback and things like that.
Yeah. Well, no, excellent. And so, you've overcome these major challenges. The company's existed for a long time, and FY22 was an excellent year. I'll just touch on that a little bit. Based on last year's annual report, 115% sales increase, more than double top line. That's always good news. And then record profits as well. What drove that? What led to, you finally getting to that point?
A combination of two things. One of them is environmental, because governments like to stimulate their economies in recessions and depressions with infrastructure investment. The American government has legislated that their investment in public infrastructure will be 35% above pre-COVID levels for the next 4 years. So that's fueled demand.
Yeah.
And of course, having demand is one thing, trying to meet it is another. And so I think the fact that we've been able to ramp up what we do, to be able to get additional throughput, and to do that in an orderly, disciplined way is a reflection of a lot of the process improvements that we've been putting in place within the company over the last 2 or 3 years or more, actually.
Yeah. So what are those process improvements? If you could just tell us briefly the major ones.
Oh, it's about lifting your levels and disciplines and project implementation, quality control. It's right across the board. It's about improving your processes in sales and marketing. It's about improving your processes in technology development and incorporating new technologies, because that's also a moving feast as well.
Yeah.